Okay, I think we're going. We are live. It does look like that. So I'm going to go ahead and share this out really quick to a couple of our event pages before we get started. Okay, I'm going to put it in our event as well, and then we'll introduce everyone. Thanks if you are hopping in and you see us live right now. We'll get started with our builder update in just a moment. Okay, I think we are set to go. My name's Rachel. I'm with the Aberdeen Home Builders Association. And with us today, we have two members from the National Association of Home Builders, as well as two of our local members. So really quickly, we'll run through and say good morning to everyone, and then we'll go through.
Okay, good morning. My name is Rich Robinson. I am a third generation associate member from New Jersey, and I'm your 2020 AHBA membership chair. Thanks, Rachel, for having me.
Good morning, I'm Julia Bogue. I'm with NAHB and I'm your guys' federal lobbyist. Thanks for having me, Rachel. I'm really appreciating this opportunity to connect with all of you.
Good morning, everybody. Kurt Pressler with the Aberdeen Home Builders Association, and I am Vice President of the Aberdeen Home Builders Association.
Good morning, this is Ann Langbein. I'm a local banker here at Great Plains Bank in Aberdeen, South Dakota.
We lost you on audio, Rachel. But we can start with the agenda. Rachel? Perfect. Okay, so I want to thank everybody for couple minutes of your time today. This is what membership is all about. Right now, we're down with one of our pillars of membership, which is networking, unfortunately, in these unprecedented times. But things like this webinar, so that you learn what's going on and what the Federation is doing for you, is exactly why we're all members. So I want to lead with that and thank you for being a member. I also want to tell you some of the things that NAHB is doing for you on a membership front. The first thing is the fact that your pillars are still strong. We are still strong in regards to advocacy. Julia is going to hit on a lot of wonderful topics in a couple minutes on what NAHB is doing for you on an advocacy front. They are making sure that business, as usual, is deemed as essential. There are only 6 states currently that are viewed as non-essential, and we are doing everything we can from an NAHB perspective in the DC market to make sure from a federation that construction is viewed as essential. The Department of Homeland Security has viewed it as essential, and we hope that that continues that path throughout the federation. So Julia will hit more on advocacy in a minute. When it comes to expertise, we have wonderful people who are giving as much guidelines and knowledge as possible. Our chief economist, Robert Dietz, has a forecast on a weekly basis. I encourage you to view it and learn more about how this is impacting us from an economic standpoint. There is a website, ionhousing.org, that you can definitely visit for more housing data and statistics. That's again, ionhousing.org. You can view our blog, which is nahbnow.com. That blog does have wonderful information. It also does broadcast Robert Dietz's forecast when it is available to the membership. So definitely view that, sign up for email updates. That will give you the most information from an expertise knowledge. There's also a third website that I want to encourage you to go, and that's on NAHB.org's website. It's NAHB.org/coronavirus, and that is all detail and information that your company can use during this crisis. There are 2 points within that page that I highly recommend you taking a look at. One is a Protect Your Business section. The Protect Your Business section includes wonderful resources and information on how you can maintain your business. Gives you some great knowledge that NAHB has provided for you. The other one is how you maintain a safe job site. In these unprecedented times, there are new restrictions that are being thrown down on us. So that is a wonderful section that includes tools to help reduce the risk of exposure of COVID. There are resources there for English as well as Spanish if necessary. So definitely take a look at that. They are perfectly available for you to download and put on your job site. So I encourage both of those sections in regards to expertise to look at what they offer. And there's many other resources and tools that NAHB is putting on that website for coronavirus, for COVID. So I encourage you to look at that section. The other 2 pillars that are current right now that are helping your membership are virtual education. NAHB has a wonderful virtual education selection right now. Some of us may be in a downturn. Some of us may be slowing down a little bit. I certainly hope not. But if you do have some extra time, definitely think about taking a virtual education class. That is something that can help you both from a personal and professional standpoint. And NAHB has a wonderful selection of education classes that you can take. I believe Rachel will be sending out the link to those virtual education classes a little bit later after this video. So take a look at that link for some wonderful classes. And the last pillar is member savings. Member savings is how we negate dues, especially in a time like this. We want to make sure that we are being as forthright as possible with dues. There are local, state, and national benefits that can help negate your dues. Wonderful program at National with the member savings. They have fantastic companies that you are very possibly using that will help negate your dues by utilizing the savings that they have there. The state association has member benefits that you could utilize to negate your dues. And then, of course, working with your associate members at the local level will help as well on that front. So from a membership perspective, I can tell you on an overall perspective, we do have a Facebook group that has wonderful data as well. If you are looking for more data on your membership, the NAHB Membership Central page is a wonderful resource tool to go on. You would type NAHB Membership Central in your search bar at Facebook, and that is a NAHB group on membership. There are many other groups such as young professionals and associates that you can certainly look for as well. Those do have wonderful data and information that you can share amongst members. So NAHB is doing everything they can on that front to help with your membership, as is your state association fighting for you, as is Rachel, who's doing a wonderful job with things like this to help facilitate knowledge for you. Rachel, any additional information that you might want? I do want to touch base real quick, and Rachel, thank you for that. The member benefit that I do represent is the member rebate program of the South Dakota Home Builders Association. That is a member benefit that does help negate your dues. It's SDHBArebates.com. There are over 50 participating manufacturers that are rewarding you as a builder member for using the same products that a top builder would receive. The average rebate that we paid out to over 6,000 builders across the Federation last year was just shy of $1,500. It was $1,472.55. So if you think about the annual dues check that you write to the association, this member benefit specifically would be able to help negate your dues. And over 70% of our members across the Federation not only negated their dues, but made a profit. So if you're using any of our 50 plus manufacturer brands, you can certainly take advantage of this member benefit. We'd love to write your rebate check and negate your dues. Thank you, Rachel.
Good morning, everybody. Rachel, I couldn't hear you, but I'll kind of move on from there. I'm Kurt Pressler with the Aberdeen Home Builders Association, and as far as the builders go, I just want to go over a couple of talking points. Just to start off, April 16th is going to be job site safety stand down, and what that's going to be is all the contractors and people in the building industry to take 10 minutes out of the day and kind of go over the safety as far as the COVID-19 goes and the precautions we can take to kind of battle this whole epidemic here. A couple other things I'd like to go over as far as, the building community is kind of the crew safety. And Rachel did a good post on the our newsletter we got there, and just kind of going over a couple of things. I have them here, as far as crews kind of go with safety, but a lot of kind of common sense thing, but a lot of other things that people don't kind of pay attention to. And the big thing is that I've done also is just kind of simple stuff like, one, don't, when you got food on the job site, don't kind of take a bag of chips and give it to another crew member. Don't share food. Another thing, have hand sanitizer with you, kind of the Clorox wipes, wiping down tools, wiping down vehicles, and kind of stuff like that. Other thing, don't share your protective equipment, kind of like masks, suits, anything you kind of use on the job site. Just what you got, label it, keep it your own, and kind of just be safe. Another thing is just if you're outside, not as big a deal, but when you're working inside, be really cautious. Make sure you got good communication with the customer, and if you can, stay out of homes. But if you have to, just make sure you got good communication and everybody is on the kind of the same page there. But other than that, if you got any other questions, you can contact the Aberdeen Home Builders Association. And like I said, Rachel put out kind of a special edition that breaks down quite a bit, you know, on all these safety measures. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Kurt. Can we hear me now? Maybe a thumbs up real quick. Okay, perfect. So that sounds awesome. And I know Kurt mentioned we have on April 16th, the stand down. NAHB is doing that. So on April 16th, we're asking all of our members, especially our builder members, to stop for 10 minutes on April 16th and go over some of those practices with your entire crew on the job site. So everything that Kurt just shared with us, 10 minutes, April 16th, we're going to be live again at the HBA office, and we're going to go over some of those practices again. So April 16th, NAHB stand down. And Rich had also mentioned we have a resource guide that's going to come out at the end of this video, and that link for all of that information and the best practices will be in there as well. So thank you, Kurt. That was awesome information. I think let's move on, and now we're going to hear from Ann Langbein, and she's with Great Plains Bank here in Aberdeen, South Dakota, and she's going to help walk you through what you have to do and kind of best practices for the payroll protection program. So Ann, I will turn it over to you.
From a perspective of just a community member too, I want to tell the home builders how important it is that you do continue to keep working. I think for the emotional health of the community, they need to see, you know, that there is new construction going on, that things have not come to a complete stop. So thank you guys for staying out on the job. So what I have information about today is the CARES Act came out with a Paycheck Protection program. And it's kind of mind-blowing because there has never been a program like this before. So it was rolled out, and the intent of it was to get money on the streets right away. So as they threw out the rule book for bankers, I mean, and so you have to be patient with the bankers because it's blowing their minds a little bit that they really don't have to, but they made it as easy as possible to get small business owners money fast and for their payroll. So what you have to do is fill out an application. All banks can participate. Of course, they rolled this out. They announced this and literally rolled it out in 1 week, which, you know, some banks just, you know, to even comprehend, you know, didn't have any resources, you know, dedicated to it. We didn't even know about this. And then they kept changing the rules, which made everybody nervous, but it's been a week. It's been up and going for a week now. So I think there's probably a little bit more, you know, smoother process, but how, you know, they made the application very simple. You don't need a ton of paperwork. You can go to sba.gov. It's a Paycheck Protection program. And you literally need to fill in your business name. You need to provide some payroll information, but this program now, they held off and they didn't open it up to self-employed and 1099 employees till today. But now self-employed and 1099 employees can, since if you're, you know, single business owner, you're the only employee, your Schedule C is going to be important. You're an employee, you're considered an employee. So you can get this for yourself. You do not have to have laid people off in order to get this. All you need to do, there's probably 7 statements that you need to certify. 1, you were in business before February 15th. 2, that economic uncertainty has made this loan request necessary. And they have made it clear at the Small Business Association, it's supply chain. And I know that I've worked with builders and, you know, there's a little bit of uncertainty. There's some time lags, you know, with, you know, cabinet makers, manufacturers down. So even if you're not feeling it right today, because of the uncertainty, the intent is that these monies are meant to get out to our in your guys' case, contractors, general contractors. The guy, it's not for big business. You don't have to have employees. You are considered an employee. So if it's just you, there was $349 trillion. I know there was a lot of concern that the money was running out, and it is a program. When the money's out, the money's out. They have said, it's got a lot of support in Washington. So they feel like if they do run out of money, it'll be reinstated, but it doesn't take that long. Different banks are going to be handling it different. We're a small community bank here at Great Plains. And this is not a plug for me. I'm really passionate about doing this. And our bank, we met as loan officers yesterday, and some banks were saying they just wanted to do their customers, and there's some back end paperwork on our end, and so we understood that, but we agreed as a team yesterday that we would process this for anybody, even if you're not a customer of our bank, we will. So the process is you bring an application, you get it into a bank. It depends. Every bank is probably a little bit different on their timeline. Because we're a small staff and I do everything right here. I don't have to send everything off. My turnaround, I've been trying to get everybody approved and in the system the same day. And then it depends, we've got quite a few now. We're getting checks out 2 to 3 weeks. I know some of the bigger banks, their pipelines just get so backed up that they can't process that fast. But rest assured, once they get you in the system, you're going to get the money. It just, might take a little bit longer to get out. So you sign the application, you get it into their banker, into your bank. They get you approved. They do everything as far as entering you in and getting you approved by SBA. And then they have to work you through their own system because it is a forgivable loan. So when you go to the bank to pick up your money, you're going to have to sign a note. And what this money is for 8 weeks. The day you pick up the money, clock starts, and for 8 weeks, that's your eligibility period. So at the end of 8 weeks, you bring back documentation to show that, again, you paid your employees, or in a case of a self-employed or a 1099, you paid yourself, or you paid. There's 3 things you can use the money for: payroll, rent or lease on your shop, and utilities. And I consider, again, they didn't drill down, so I can't speak for all banks, but, I consider cell phone, for you guys, part of your utilities. If you have a shop, any of the utilities. So you can use the money for that. You need to bring in verification that that is what the money was spent on. The bank, and we haven't got all the details on exactly how it's going to play out, but we will send it into SBA and they will forgive that portion of it. In most cases, it'll all be forgiven. I mean, you just have to pay your payroll. You just have to pay your guys. You have to pay yourself, get the money. The goal of this is to get the money out to employees so that they can get it out into the community and continue to go eat at restaurants, continue to do everything. And, we know there's a lot of spouses that, sometimes their income has been impacted. So that's the goal of it. They intended for the money to be out there. It really isn't, it's tax-free. So you won't be anything to report on your income tax. Does anybody have any questions about it?
I don't have a question that came in from I'm following our Facebook comments as we're live here. Kelly Ladner says she had an awesome time working with you. Totally gives you a plug. She said it was, what did she say here? Quick and seamless when she worked with you. And I've had another builder, I won't share names, but another builder who has shared with the office that when they've worked with you, again, as simple as it could be, you've taken all of the stress off of them. So I know we have other members who are offering the same service through these different processes. So thank you for sharing your information, and I know that individuals.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you one more thing. There are no fees, and there never should be any fees to the borrower. That they've made that very clear. This is a fee-free, so there are no fees, and you should never have to pay any fees for this. So again, we're hoping that it doesn't, and I'm hoping in our community that it doesn't happen. But once this thing has been out there a little bit, there may be some people that are offering to process your, applications, and they're anticipating maybe, they'll say there's a fee and, whatnot. You should never have to. They've made it very clear that if anybody is processing applications, their fee is to come from the bank that processes it. So again, hopefully in Aberdeen, we won't, have any of that. But I personally want to tell, you guys, I work with, contractors and stuff all the time. And I always tell you, you guys don't make money doing paperwork. So let me do it. So this is very easy paperwork. If you're intimidated, it's not intimidated. I mean, our bank, and again, all banks can do it, but I'm just saying, if you want to walk in, we still have our lobby. We're practicing social distancing, but I will help you. You don't have to upload anything. You don't have to do anything. We're right by Menards. I'll do it as quickly. I'll communicate with you. And again, I know the other banks are too. I'm not putting them down. It's just, we're smaller. Their pipelines just get so many applications, and then they just get backlogged, because as banks, we're all working on part staff too. So again, it's nothing against your bank, or, if you get a long timeline, and even if you get in a long timeline, rest assured, if they give you the okay that you've got it, if it takes a little bit to get the check, you're going to get it. It's just a backlog in processing this many applications this quickly. So, but again, I'll open myself up. Again, we are not restricting ourselves. We will work with anybody. You don't have to have an account here. It's all for us about, getting money back to the community.
That sounds awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, Anne.
Yep.
I know they said some of the members have shared with me at the office, you've made this process super simple, and it is great to know for all of us to let all of our builders and all of our members know they should not be charged. The borrower should not be charged for that payroll protection program. So thank you for sharing that. I don't see any other questions that have come in through Facebook. If more do come through, we'll bounce back in and ask you those at the end. But I think it's a great time now to move over to Julia. And Julia is with the National Association of Home Builders, and she works in the lobbying office and with the legislative side of things. And she's now going to share with us some information about the federal programs that are out there and what else NAHB is doing for all of you as our members.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks for having me, Rachel. My name is Julia Bogue. I am your federal lobbyist with NAHB. So on a normal day, I work on Capitol Hill to advocate for you guys with Senator Rounds and Senator Thune and Congressman Johnson. So every day in a normal world, I would be on the Hill talking to them about the issues that matter to you. So as Rich pointed out, we're not entirely in normal circumstances right now. So we've been working really hard to make sure that you all stay at work. And one of the ways that we did that was advocating for you to have construction designated as essential critical infrastructure workers on a CISA guidance. So that's a federal guidance. It's not a law, it's not a rule. It's just a guidance that sort of suggests that construction should be able to continue to work. Now, in most states, they've abided by the CISA guidance. They've referenced it and said, yes, construction should be able to continue to work. Not every state has consulted CISA some states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, have said that construction is not essential and should not continue to operate in those states. But so far, we've had a lot of success with the SISA designation and with the SISA designation across the states. So that's been great. Two bills that we've lobbied on that I think are really important and really affect you guys are the Family First Coronavirus Response Act and the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, or the CARES Act. So the Family First Act is important because it really does two things. It establishes an emergency paid sick leave and an emergency family medical leave. So the paid sick leave is really important because what it says is that for businesses with under 500 employees, all employees, regardless of start date, are eligible for 2 weeks of paid sick leave, or 80 hours. And full-time employees get 100% of their wages during that time. Part-time employees, it's a calculation for how much percent of their wages they receive. But for you guys as employers, you must post a notice that your employees are eligible for this. And I know it's kind of difficult because you're being asked to provide paid sick leave and paying these employees that aren't working. But the bill also establishes a tax credit program. So even though you're paying for them to not be working, you're eligible for a payroll tax credit. So that should make your business whole. And the second bill, what that did is it established that you can apply for those tax credits in advance. So it sort of streamlines the process. So you're not waiting a long time to get that tax credit to make up for that extra paid sick leave. You're eligible to hopefully get that right off the bat. So the second thing it does is it expands the family medical leave. And the only way you can qualify for that is if you have to take care of a child that, their school is closed or their place of care is closed because of COVID-19. Now there is an exception for that. There's also an exemption for the paid sick leave, and that's if you have fewer than 50 employees and doing that paid sick leave or that expanded FMLA would cause you economic ruin or like the dissolution of the business, or if that person does an integral job that you can't go on without, then there is an exception. I'm kind of giving you just the very top line of all this, but all of this information Rachel's sharing the link to. It's all on NAHB now and also NAHB.org/COVID-19. So that breaks down all of your percentages and exactly the circumstances that qualify you for those things. The second bill, the CARES Act, is really important because it talks about the SBA loans that Ann mentioned. So there's two loans, the Paycheck Protection, and there's also the EIDL, or the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. So Ann did a great job of the PPP, is an excellent resource for you guys. And I did just want to highlight one thing, that Congress has been kicking around the idea of adding an additional $250 billion for the PPP. Leader McConnell was trying to vote on that yesterday. It did not go through. We're still monitoring the situation. It will happen at some point. It's just sort of in gridlock for today. But 250 billion will be added to that program at some point. So back to the EIDL, it's very similar to the PPP. It is not forgivable like the PPP, but there is $10,000 which you can access, and you can access that even if you don't get the full loan. So if you apply for the loan, you can apply for a $10,000 advance, and you'll get that 3 days after applying, and that $10,000 is forgivable. So it could be a great resource. The one thing is that you can't have two loans for the same thing. So EIDL is very similar to PPP. It's to pay your payroll, pay your rent, pay your mortgage. Very similar uses as the PPP, but it is not forgivable, and you cannot use the two for the same issues. So I'm happy to take any questions, and thanks again for having me.
I don't see any questions coming in just right now. I'm kind of keeping an eye on any of the comments that come in. But thank you for sharing all of that information, Julia. That's a lot that we don't always have our eyes on. So it's very nice for our builders and our members to be able to hear from you, who's in it every day, giving us kind of a breakdown of what we can expect and how we should move forward with it. With that, I think you guys covered a lot of everything, the major questions we've had coming in through the home builder's office here in Aberdeen. The PPP was probably one of the biggest things we've heard. And on top of that, I just want to reiterate what Kurt had mentioned with us, that we really do want to keep all of our members and all of our other businesses safe. So those workplace practices to keep you and your employees safe, please do take a look at all of those. We are going to be sending out a resource guide. I'll put the whole link in the comments of this live video, as well as it'll be up in our next builder update out to all of our email individuals that we have. So if you want to get on our email list, you can throw our page a direct message and I'll put you on that list as well. And overall, if there's any other questions that any of you as our members or even non-members have, please share them with our office. We want to be a resource for you at this time. Like we said, there's a lot going on. We might not have the answer on that very single day, but we will definitely help you find it and help you navigate through this strange time that we're having right now. With that, I think I'll take just one quick second to loop back in with Rich. Do you want to just remind all of our members about our networking platforms that we have available to all of us right now that we can't get out and we're not going to our meetings, but how we can virtually connect?
Sure. Perfect example would be this, right? This is a great opportunity for members to come on and talk. There are also Facebook, right? Facebook is one of those that it connects us no matter where we are. We talked earlier about the Membership Central page. That is one that you can learn and talk with other members on. There's NAHB Young Professionals that you could do a search on Facebook. They have some wonderful topics that are brought up with individuals, members from across the country who are facing the same challenges you are, and they're non-competing markets. So you get great feedback from people who are in the same boat that you are. And then there's other groups as well. There's the NAHB Professional Women in Building, and there's NAHB Associates. So depending on what type of member you are, there is a group for you with similar members that are facing the same issues. And it's really a great way to connect that way. So I definitely encourage everybody, if you use the Facebook platform, to do a search up in the top, join one of those groups, and definitely take advantage of it. And if for whatever reason you don't find the answer you need, Rachel's definitely one of the most proactive EOs in the country. So you have a phenomenal EO there. The state, I'm sure, would do a great job. SD, HBA would do a wonderful job. And then Julia or myself or anyone at NAHB would be certainly here to help you with any questions you might have on your membership or in advocacy. Thanks for having us today, Rachel.
Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for your kind words. Our local office does work very closely with Tony at the state level, and Tony and I both work quite closely with our national advocates at NAHB. So we do want to be a resource for you. We will find the answer. We will get through this. Practice workplace safety. And if you have questions, reach out to us. Thank you again to Anne for sharing all about the payroll protection program. And I'm sure you'll have some people calling you today, or if they call me, we'll get them linked up properly. Kurt, you and I will keep connecting about making sure we keep our builders safe on the job site. Don't share your tools, sanitize your stuff, don't cough on people, right? Those kind of things. We want to use common sense, all of that good stuff. And if national things come up, we have Rich, we have Julia, we have a slew of individuals through this federation that we can connect with. So thank you all for being here, sharing your expertise. And for those of you who are watching, thank you for tuning in and watching. As questions come in, we'll fill them out. Any of you who are on our broadcast, if there's anything you'd like to share at the end here, please do so. Okay, I don't see any of you waving off to say anything else. So with that, we'll say thank you one more time to everyone, and I hope you all have a wonderful Friday. Thanks for being here.